Hello students. In the previous classes, we have studied the mechanisms by which a pathogen tries to establish a disease in a plant. So it may release enzymes, it can release some toxins or growth regulators, polysaccharides, all of which contribute to establishment of the disease. In today's session, we will be studying about the mechanisms of resistance in plants. So different plants defend themselves in different ways, and most of these ways or most of these mechanisms are due to the attack of the pathogen. Some of them are also pre-existing structures or pre-existing defense mechanisms which are found in the plant whether a pathogen attacks or not. But irrespective of whether it has been developed after the attack of the pathogen or it is present constitutively in the plant, all of these defense mechanisms are due to hereditary character of the plant. That is, they are genetic in nature. So that decides whether a plant is capable of fighting a particular pathogen or not. Now, these mechanisms are divided into different types. Mainly, the defense mechanisms in plants can be classified under structural defense mechanisms and biochemical defense mechanisms. Both of these are further classified into pre-existing and post-infection defense mechanisms. Pre-existing are the constitutive defense mechanisms which are always present, and post-infection defense mechanisms are the active defense mechanisms which are developed or induced when there is attack by a pathogen. So pre-existing and post-infection defense mechanisms can be seen in structural mechanisms as well as in biochemical aspects. As the purview of this topic is quite large, we will be studying this under 4 modules. So in today's module, we will be talking about structural defense mechanism which are pre-existing in nature. Now, these structural defense mechanisms form the first line of defense. Whenever a pathogen is trying to enter, there will be obstruction in the entry of that pathogen. So, this can be the entry of the pathogen, as we have already studied, can be due to natural openings or artificial openings, or if it is a fungus, it can be in the form of direct penetration. Once the pathogen enters inside, there are internal structural barriers which are going to block the flow of pathogen or which are going to block the spread of the pathogen inside the tissue. These structural barriers are of two types like I had shown you in the previous slide. Either they are formed by the attack of the pathogen. That means once the pathogen attacks, immediately there is some signaling that happens in the plant and the structural changes start to occur. Those are the defense structures that are developed post-infection. But there are also structures which are present previously. They are the pre-existing or constitutive structural defense mechanisms. That is what we will be talking about in today's class. So the pre-existing defense structures are of different types, mainly of 4 types. The first pre-existing structural defense mechanism is cuticular wax. Now, cuticular wax, we have earlier also studied about this. It is a hydrophobic surface. So, which means that it repels water, which leads to preventing the retention of water drops. So, when it is hydrophobic, it does not allow the water drops or the water to stay on its surface. If there is water present on the surface, pathogens can be deposited and they may start germinating. If it is a fungal spore or if it is a bacteria, it will immediately multiply if there is water. But this cuticular surface is hydrophobic in nature, due to which it will prevent the collection or accumulation or retention of the water droplets. That is one method by which it avoids the pathogens to get deposited and avoids their multiplication or germination. Also, the cuticular wax has fatty acids which are having a negative charge. Now, many of the spores also acquire a negative charge from the atmospheric ions. So, this negative charge which is present on the fatty acids of the wax will repel those spores and not allow them to get deposited easily. Also, the thickness of the cuticular wax is a very important factor which will obstruct the direct penetration of the pathogen. Even if the pathogen is able to penetrate the thick cuticular layer, you can see over here, even if it is able to penetrate the thick cuticular layer, once it goes inside and multiplies, the thick cuticle will also prevent the exit of the pathogen. Now, why is the exit of the pathogen important to be prevented? Because if the pathogen cannot exit from the tissue where it has caused the primary infection, then it cannot go and cause secondary infection in other parts of the plant or in the neighboring plant. So, secondary infection can be controlled or at least reduced due to the thickness of the cuticle. So, the first pre-existing structural defense mechanism is cuticular wax. Like we know, cuticular wax is a thick layer that is present outside the epidermal cells of the plant. This cuticle is having a hydrophobic surface due to the wax present in it, and the thickness of the cuticular wax also matters in reducing the secondary infection, also in reducing the penetration power or penetration capacity of the pathogen. The second pre-existing structural defense mechanism is the epidermal cell wall. So the epidermal cell wall is thick and tough in the outer wall or in the outer epidermal cells. It has been seen that it is very thick and it is tough. This toughness prevents the entry of the pathogen, or at least it makes it difficult for the pathogen to enter easily. So we have weak pathogens which are not able to penetrate through that tough cell wall and get inside. The toughness, when we say it is thick and tough, it is because of the deposition of lignin and silicic acid. Example is in the case of the epidermal cells of rice plants, their outer wall is lignified. So Magna porthae griseae, or earlier it was called as spiricularia or rhizae, which causes blast disease of rice, is not able to penetrate through the epidermal cells. Instead, it penetrates through the motor cells. Motor cells are the cells which are present at the hinge of a plant part, which help in movement of the plant part. So these motor cells are proteinaceous. They do not have lignin. They lack lignin. Due to that, they are much softer and they are less tough, and these pathogens are known to enter through the motor cells. So the epidermal cell wall, if it is thick and tough, that also contributes in resisting the pathogen, or at least it helps to delay the entry of the pathogen. You can see over here, these brown color structures are a depiction of lignin, and here you can see these white color deposits are the silicic acid. So deposition of lignin and silicic acid in the epidermal cell wall of some varieties of plants has been shown to act as a barrier or to prevent the entry of pathogens. The third pre-existing structural defense mechanism is the structure of natural openings. So though stomata, lenticels, hydrathodes, these are openings which are present normally and they allow several pathogens to come inside the plant. In some cases, they also prevent the entry of the pathogen. One of such examples is the Zincum variety of citrus plants which is resistant to citrus canker. Now, the citrus canker pathogen, that is Anthomonas, enters through the stomata. But in this variety, in Zincum variety, and here I have shown you the diagram of Zincum mandarin, in this variety of citrus plants, the stomata is small. So you can see over here, the stomata is small. This is a variety that is resistant, and this is to show you a variety that is susceptible. So in the variety that is resistant, we can see that the stomata is small and there is a raised broad lip. You can see here there is a raised broad lipped structure which makes it narrow. So the stomata is narrow in case of the resistant variety. In case of the susceptible variety, this stomata is of a regular size and it is not narrow. So the organisms can easily enter through the stomatal pore. This is one example of Zincum mandarin. So there are plants wherein it has been seen that the stomata has been modified and it is narrow, which prevents the entry of the pathogen, or which makes it difficult for the pathogen to enter. The second example is the size of the lenticels. So it has been seen that these are the lenticels that you can see on the apple fruit. So it has been seen that larger size lenticels can easily allow the bacterium Pseudomonas papillosum, which causes spot disease of apple, and the varieties which have smaller size lenticels can prevent the entry of this pathogen. So lenticel size is important for this pathogen to enter, which causes spot disease of apple. Also the nectaries. Nectaries are the area where the part of the plant on which the nectar gets deposited. So you can see over here, this is the nectary. Now the nectaries have nectar in them which is having high osmotic concentration. That also is one hindrance for the pathogen to enter. Also, it has been seen that nectaries which have abundant hair, those which have more of hair on them, such varieties of apples and gins are known to be resistant against Erwinia amylovora. So it has been seen that Erwinia amylovora is unable to enter the plants or enter the apple fruits or apple plants wherein the nectaries are having more of hair. So these are some of the structures of natural openings which, if modified, can prevent the entry of the pathogen. So one is the stomatal size, which is seen in case of Zinc mandarin. The second one is the lenticel size, which is seen in some apple varieties, and the nectaries, which is also seen in some apple varieties. If these natural openings are modified or if their structure is modified, then that prevents the entry of the pathogen. So this is again an example of a pre-existing structural barrier which gives resistance to the plant. The fourth and the last pre-existing structural barrier is the internal structural barriers. Now this includes the vascular bundles or the sclerenchyma, extended areas of sclerenchyma cells. So it has been seen that in the stems of cereal crops, this vascular bundle and the extended sclerenchyma cell tissue which is present there prevents the further progress of pathogen, especially rust fungi. So if internally, if they are present, that prevents the entry of the pathogen. Another example is leaf veins. So it has been seen that leaf veins can also to an extent prevent the spread of the pathogen, like it has been seen in angular leaf spot diseases. In such diseases, it has been seen that the organism or the pathogen will get obstructed in the leaf veins and the pathogen will only spread between the leaf veins. It will not spread across the leaf veins. So these are some of the internal structural barriers that can to an extent block the spread of pathogen, or it can at least slow down the spread of the pathogen, or these are some of the pre-existing structural barriers or structural resistance mechanisms that we find in plants. In the next class, we will be talking about the different structural barriers that are developed after attack of a pathogen. So what we have done till now are pre-existing structural defense mechanisms or structural barriers, and in the next class we will be talking about all of these structural barriers that are developed after attack of a pathogen. All of this comes under the structural defense mechanisms found in plants. Hope you all have understood. Thank you.